You know, it's difficult to believe that the last time the Grim Reaper himself, George R.R. Martin, released a Song of Ice and Fire novel was the same year that the TV show started, way back in 2011. It's now 2017. The TV show's on its 7th season, it's gone past the books, and we're still no closer to reading the elusive Winds of Winter.
Now this isn't going to be one of those whingy videos saying that George should hurry the hell up, he's getting on a bit, he needs to finish the books, blah blah blah. But it's more of a look at some of the things he's been afforded the opportunity to do, partly because of the enormous success of the show and his books, and to help sort of explain why Winds of Winter probably won't be coming out this year. But before we get into all that, if you live in the continental United States and want to be in with a chance of winning this Night King Funko Pop figure, then make sure you're subscribed to the GameSpot Universe YouTube channel and hit the link in the description below.
So without further ado, here are 12 things George R.R. Martin has been doing instead of releasing the Winds of Winter.
It's understandable that George is deeply involved with the TV adaptation of his novels. They're his babies, after all. Not only does he receive a based on a Song of Ice and Fire credit for each episode of Game of Thrones, but he's also penned 4 of his own, including Season 2's epic Blackwater and The Lion and the Rose, aka The Purple Wedding from Season 4. But in recent years, he started to put his TV writing on the back burner, as writing just 1 episode of the show could cost him anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks' work on Winds of Winter. Okay, this was technically just before A Dance with Dragons came out, but seeing as it rustled Lost showrunner Damon Lindelof enough for him to bring it up in an interview years later, I'm going to allow it. Anyway, when speaking to The New Yorker about the mounting fan pressure to tie off A Song of Ice and Fire in a way that would appease its many millions of fans, Martin replied, "What if I f it up at the end? What if I do a Lost? Then they'll come after me with pitchforks and torches." Speaking to Time magazine, he added that he felt the ending of Lost was a big turd that Lindelof and co had left on his doorstep. Lindelof responded, "I don't take issue with his opinion, I take issue with the fact that he coined pulling a Lost as empirically f***ing up the ending. I mean, I am a Lost apologist, and even I have nothing to say to that, other than, at least Lost had an ending, George." Seriously, blink and you will miss him. In the late 80s, Martin and a group of writer friends from Albuquerque started a role-playing game that lasted for 2 years. It made such an impact on their lives that Martin and his pals wrote novels based in the campaign that they'd played in the Superworld RPG. Set in an alt-history America, a deadly plague kills 90% of the population, 9% get twisted and deformed, but the 1% become blessed with extraordinary powers. Since the late 80s, the Wildcard series, as it's known, has over 20 volumes, each containing a number of short stories, and Martin edits each one. The books have been adapted into comics, its own role-playing game, and now a movie and TV series is in the works. George was set to be executive producer on the film, but couldn't take part in the TV show due to his HBO commitments, but he's still editing all of the novels, which is a huge amount of work. The Not a Blog link on George R.R. Martin's website leads directly to a blog. The crafty bugger. George has faithfully updated his live journal since 2005, keeping his readers up to date on his public appearances, thoughts on TV shows, and the occasional prank, like the time he spectacularly revealed that Lin-Manuel Miranda off of Hamilton was bringing his Wildcards novels to Broadway. Obviously that was a joke, but he does post updates and occasionally snippets of Winds of Winter on there too. See? Winds of Winter does exist. George has written quite a lot in recent years, but just not the books that you want him to. He's released a bunch of prequel novellas based in the Song of Ice and Fire universe, including tales that took place over 200 years before the events of the books, featuring members of the Targaryen family. He's also helped fansite Westeros.org owners Elio Garcia and Linda Antonsen write an official companion book called The World of Ice and Fire. Not content with just one smash hit TV show under his belt, in 2016, The Hollywood Reporter confirmed that George R.R. Martin was in talks with HBO to create another one. Captain Cosmos would be centered around a young sci-fi writer in 1949, at the dawn of the television age. Apparently, the writer will be daring to write stories no one else could dream of, just like George R.R. Martin and Game of Thrones. Because seriously, that twincest stuff is weird. And speaking of TV shows, Game of Thrones only has one more season left. And given its moderate success, it's only natural that the HBO bosses are looking to the future, which is why they've teamed up with George and a bunch of writers to come up with spin-offs. He'll be working with co-writer of Kick-Ass and X-Men First Class, Jane Goldman, Mad Men writer Carly Ray, Oscar-winning LA Confidential wordsmith Brian Helgeland, and Max Borenstein, who most recently worked on Kong Skull Island. Now please, one of these spin-offs needs to be The Adventures of Sir Pounce. George has a huge following, and the success of the TV series has really catapulted him into the mainstream. He travels all around the world to visit conventions to meet his fans, to whom the books mean so much. He also does a load of book signings and TV appearances. Earlier this year, George helped launch a non-profit foundation called Stagecoach. The foundation aims to bring more jobs to Martin's beloved Santa Fe, and to train people for jobs in the entertainment industry through mentoring and internships. In 2014, George bought an abandoned bowling alley, because seriously, if you had that much money, wouldn't you buy an abandoned bowling alley? Anyway, it's in Santa Fe, and he invested $3 million in renovations to help art collective Meow Wolf create the House of Eternal Return. It's an interactive and immersive storytelling experience that features a 20,000 square foot abandoned Victorian house where you're let loose to figure out the story by yourself. Okay, real talk, George. I know it's difficult when it's all people ever ask you about, but overpromising and under-delivering release dates sort of makes people angry about the fact that the book isn't out yet. So, you know, finish it at your own pace. Make sure it's the best book you can write, but please
don't fuck it up.
I'm just kidding, George. You know I love you. You don't owe anyone anything, and you should get to enjoy your enormous success. It's just, what with season 7 just finishing, everyone is dying to know how the whole Song of Ice and Fire saga is gonna wrap up. And as we have an extra long wait until season 8, why not join us in overanalyzing everything to do with Thrones right here on the GameSpot Universe YouTube channel. Subscribe and hit the link in the description below to be in with a chance of winning the Night King Funko Pop. Thanks for watching!